And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Noah Clark, and I'm joined by Sam Thompson in the commentary booth, and we are watching the Austrian Grand Prix. This is live coverage of round number 3 of the Formula 4 World Championship here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, getting ready for short qualifying just to get underway. We have, I believe, a full grid ready to go, except I believe the Ferraris are out of the session. But nonetheless, no, are they back in?
Yep, it's everyone. We've got a full house tonight.
Full house tonight and ready for some full-on qualifying action. Of course, we will have a short qualifying session. Drivers allowed to set as many times as they want within the allotted amount of time. That's 18 minutes to try to set the fastest time possible here at Austria. And I know that the sweat is going to come out profusely from the gloves because some people were practicing from the moment that Singapore ended and are now ready to get underway. Let's get set as the drivers are coming out of their pit boxes, and we are ready to go. Sam, it's great to be back with you in the commentary booth. Apologize for the internet absence, but I am back, and hopefully no problems here this week as drivers are now coming out onto the track, and we're going to see our first set of laps come on board.
Yep, not long to go now. Obviously, Austria being the shortest track on the calendar, meaning that Cazizl, who is the first driver out on track, it won't take long for him to get round this track and onto his first lap. It's been a decent evening, really, in the UK, but we're all about Austria here, and Austria can be kind of awkward with its weather. Sometimes it is cloudy, clear, overcast. Of course, it can obviously have a bit of rain as well. It looks like we're on for a nice day here in qualifying. No clouds in the sky. So obviously temperatures will be quite warm, but interestingly, everyone out on soft runs. Maybe that's just a tyre preference, of course. Someone on the mediums there, but I wonder if we would potentially see some rain in this race. It's way too early really to see, but what we will have to see if there is rain is obviously the times, which we should be seeing at low 1 minute twos.
And Cazizl comes across the line. Let's go over a lap of Austria, taking a very wide line coming into turn 1, cutting as much of turn number 2, and then back on the curbs out of the exit. And now coming down this first long straight towards the uphill section of turn number 4. Again, using a lot of curbs, getting a wide line, cutting in close, and back out wide. Now back onto the next DRS straight. Again, very small kinks here and there, and a few dips, and now coming towards the end of Sector 2. A lot of curb here used again by Cazizl. A big lock up there, very difficult to get the traction back on out of that turn, but he gets it in nicely. Again, more curb being used, and coming in through to the end of Sector 2, and he goes a little wide out of that corner and actually goes really wide out of that next corner. He's going to have to tighten that up quite a bit come next lap, but he has, of course, gone fastest in the first couple of sectors, taking another wide line, cutting it close towards the pit lane entry point, and now coming into the final turn across the line, and the time we have set is a 102.6. But we know we can go faster than that. Quite a few mistakes from the AlphaTauri driver on that first lap out in qualifying.
Yep, very early on, though, of course, in the session as well. Only the first time set on the lap. Max Rover in the 1 minute freeze, so wouldn't see too many of them. Ginger comes to the line now. He goes second in the Alfa Romeo, but expect people to be potentially just putting banker laps in right now. Since this is a very short circuit, it also allows people to go on for 2 laps in a row, and I think that's exactly what Cazizl is potentially doing, but I think he's now backed out of it. But I think that is what we'll see early on in this session, people doing 2 runs instead of 1 on the soft tyres, just to make the time go down quicker, as Devon then goes and sets it on the top spot early on in this session.
Efro Chapelot, definitely a driver to watch out for, one of the fastest around the Red Bull Ring here. We'll see how he gets underway. He's at Cush out on track, is on an invalid lap, and VER Mike K, his Racing Point teammate, also on an invalid lap today, as that looks to be a Williams that was coming on through, but that was Vapor Newth who was on an outlap, and is going to be the last driver, in fact, I believe, except for Rowan, who will be coming across the line to start their first lap of the session. Slowest time on the board so far, 1:16 flat, by Yan F1 Racer, but I'm sure we will see a quicker time from him as we go throughout the session. And let's ride on board with the Williams driver, Nuth, as he comes into turn number 3. And really wide through turn number 3. Actually almost really has trouble slowing the car down, but he gets it through. And now onto the DRS straight, coming down towards near the end of Sector 2. This downhill braking zone, again, very easy. Bend, a big lockup, and then getting back on the power. We'll try to see if the drivers can clean up that locking up a bit coming into the turn there. Much closer through the turn there than Kazizel we saw earlier, and again, cutting a lot closer to the line. But really, it's actually interesting not to cut too close to the turn there and then get to the wider exit. And then coming into the penultimate turn and then the final turn. And let's see what the time's going to be from Vapor Nuth as he comes across the line. And it's going to be a 102.739. That's best for 6 fastest at the moment through the early part of qualifying. 12 and 45 seconds left to go in the session. And you're watching short qualifying here for Formula 4's World Championship in Premier Sims Gaming League's PlayStation Division. Again, my name is Noah Clark, and I'm joined by Sam Thompson in the commentary booth. Thompson, how are we doing so far, you think?
I think we're doing quite well at the moment. 11 drivers setting times at the moment, and a bunch of them already on invalidated laps. Shapalele and Rowan are the two I was looking at. Brett is on a lap right now, getting very close to Furhan Racer, so we've still got half the field yet to set a lap time, really, at the moment, which is kind of a bit surprising, since a lot of people just want to get that quick security going, but they've decided not to. But there is a long way to go, and there is a lot of time really to spare around this circuit. I'm just on board right now with FRL Brett. He's on a lap at the moment. He's coming through Sector 2, almost into Sector 3 now. Looks like a decent lap at the moment, hooking it round the 2 turns of Turn 6 and Turn 7 as he comes through now towards Turn 9 and 10 as he ends it at Turn 8. And this is very tricky through here. You can easily catch a little bit of oversteer, and again out of the exit the corner. It's a nicely fled lap there from Brett, and he goes 6th place, which is a good position early on for the McLaren.
Fastest in the 3rd sector for the McLaren driver there, FRL Bread, right behind his FRL compatriot FRL Ginger in the Alfa Romeo, who is into the top 5 right now on a red lap. So a lot of times on the board, but still half the grid about time so far. Isaac Kush is out again for another lap, and we'll see how the Racing Point driver can get underway. VER Mike K a little further ahead of his teammate, also on a lap. He's on a brand new set of soft tires, but he's got a little bit of traffic to negotiate here, going past a Haas, and now he's got a McLaren ahead of him, I believe. And we'll see if Mike K, I think he'll be good to go, won't be running into any traffic here in the session, as he's about to come towards the final couple of corners here at the Red Bull Ring, and Kazizel has a sizzling 102.4, and he goes back onto the top sheet here in qualifying. Coming across the line is Mike K, and he will go only 11th fastest, so not a fantastic time from the Racing Point driver, just outside the top 10. Here comes Isaac Kush. Can he go ahead of his teammate here in qualifying, bring a little bit more competitiveness to the Racing Point outfit? Comes across the line, and he's going to go P number 2, and that was a very nice lap from Isaac Kush. A invalid on the first one, and the second one this time. Now he goes 2nd fastest. So impressive showing from Isaac Kush so far here in qualifying.
Yep, and here comes Devon across the line. He was down by a small amount through Sector 2, but there's a lot of time to be made in Sector 3. He does move back up into 2nd place, but I tell you what, if he improves that 2nd sector, then he could have probably been able to slot it on the top spot. It looked like a very good 1st sector being a 10th spot, but he seemed to lose that through Sector 2, so a lot of time really still to be gained for the McLaren there. Looking further back, we still need to see laps from the likes of Shapalele, and well, you're not going to do it that way, and your wheels come off, and well, I mean, Shapalele, he was a title favourite, well, he would be a race favourite here today,
my
let alone
goodness.
a title favourite, and well, in qualifying, he's definitely not getting pole position then, as he's in the wall and he's out.
I don't want to say it too much, so I'll regulate it to this one time. Quite a Botolelli right there in qualifying, and Shapalele is out of qualifying here in the Austrian Grand Prix. A crash out of turn number 1, And Efrael Schiaparelli is not going to be happy with that performance there, as he is out and without a time, and that continues to hurt the Alfa Romeo crew, which has to now claw their way into comfortable positions of point scoring. Efrael Ginger is putting on a charge. He's there in P5, would like to improve, I'm sure, and is currently right now on an in-lap, I believe.
Yep, I would have thought so. He's got he's not using ERS. A driver on a lap at the moment would be IFR Rowan. I'm not sure if there's anyone further up on a lap. Everyone that I've seen so far seemed pretty conservative. So I think Rowan is the only person actually on a lap, and he hasn't set a time, so not much of a benchmark really for him to set. Just put a time
and one
on
of the other Ferraris is off, and that's CRLC was having a bit of an excursion onto the sand trap area there. As this ain't golf, Noah. Let's go. Also, let's take a moment here to look at what CRLC is doing. We have to mention pit lane entry rules that PSGL have enforced. You must use the proper pit lane entry. Drivers very often tend to cut a major portion of the pit lane entry point in Austria. Drivers are going to have to be careful not to do that. They will get penalized if they cut that pit lane entry. And as a very popular account, the League Racing News Twitter account mentioned, that pit lane entry point starts well before the penultimate turn. So drivers have to be wary not to cut that when they make their pit stops in the race.
Yeah, and I mean, a good time there from Brett there. Both McLarens doing quite strong then in the end, it looks like. Second and fourth at the moment, Devon and Brett looking like they could actually be quite a hefty challenge in this race alone. McLaren's doing very decent today. Renault also looking pretty strong at the moment in third and eighth place. And it seems to be a thing with the Red Bulls. They're both together. They've been both together pretty much all season so far, but they've just not been up there at the moment. Ghost has been obviously on pole position in Singapore, but in terms of the race, they've been very close to each other. So interested to see how those two work as teammates, perhaps later on in this session, since there is a lot of time to go. But because this is still the pace setter, and he's still quite clear as well, which Austria is very. That's very interesting because you don't usually see that as Austria, and still we have three guys still get to set times as well in Bidev, Tees, and Bugatti. So still interested to see coming into the final few minutes of qualifying.
Tees is not on a time at the moment. Bugatti is on one. Let's ride on board with the AlphaTauri driver. He's about to come into the final turn, and we're going to see what he can set. He's finally going to get a time on the board. Comes across the line, and it's only 13th fastest, so Bugatti, with only 5.5 minutes left to go, is going to have to make a quick pit stop and get some new tires on if he wants to have any chance of setting in a faster time. He just lets by his teammate, who was out on another lap, trying to improve just a little bit more and get a little bit more advantage heading into the race. He has pole position at the moment, but that could change here in the final parts of qualifying. He was a little bit slower in the first sector. Coming into the second sector, can he tidy it up? About 0.07 of a second off of that pole position time. A 102.4 was the time. The track obviously at its optimal range right now in terms of temperature with all the cars going on. He has gone just a bit faster in the second sector. That has allowed him to go purple in the second sector. Now coming into the penultimate turn. Here comes Gazizel using as much of the track limits as possible. And just around the final turn, he comes across the line. It would have been a 102.324. And unfortunately, that is an invalidation. And I'm going to find it a little difficult for Gazizel to get back out on track again and try to push for another pole lap. Only about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And wow, what a time from Yannick. And he just came out of nowhere and put himself in the pole position. And now Gazizel might be in a bit of panic if he wanted to have the P1 position here in Austria.
Yeah, very, very neat lap there from Yannick, and obviously on pole position at the moment. His teammate has just started his lap. He's behind a Mercedes, of course. I don't know if Mercedes is on a lap. That'd be Jan, F1 racer. It looks like he's not, so he should be able to get out of the way, but Maxer is struggling there on the exit of the corner to find that grip, to find that traction, of course, as you are accelerating up the hill, so it's very difficult for these drivers. But he's now coming into turn 4 now. It looks like a decent lap from Maxer, but I don't think this is going to be one that will set the world alight. That obviously that turn 3 mistake there where he couldn't find the traction has probably lost him a lot of time. And as you can see from the delta, almost 4/10 down. So that's cost him quite dearly, and depending on how much fuel he's got left in the car, or of course what tyres he's got left in the car, not tyres he's got left in the car, tyres he's got left in the garage, will depend on whether he can set another competitive lap.
But here comes Devin. He was just a little bit off in the second sector and is trying to put in an absolute flyer third sector. Coming across the line is the McLaren driver. Can he put himself on pole? He puts himself P3 ahead of Isaac Kush and improves by about 1/10 of a second. That is a very nice time from the McLaren driver. Devin 3043, really putting in a great performance here. Of course, one of the title challengers in Formula 5 last season, after the first couple of rounds, has really improved his pace and has become, in my opinion, a front runner at this point.
Yeah, doing very strongly at the moment, trying to find someone really towards the end of their lap. At the moment, a lot of drivers seeming to be on the start or invalidating their lap. Of course, Devon's not on one. Saya, it would be the closest, but however, Saya is 6/10 down on his lap time, so it's now or never. I think he's looking to go again then for a third lap. That would be on the set of tyres that he's got. So a lot of drivers being quite conservative at the moment. They're not really going for too much, and a lot of invalidations as well on their laps as well. So perhaps a bit of frustration starting to creep in for a lot of drivers with only really with one possible lap left to go that they can set.
So Cyril Sia will try again. Both of the Haas's do not have times on the board, so it has been a struggle. If you're a fan of the American outfit, I commentated them in Formula 5 as Constructors Champions. Right now they are anything but that here in Formula 4. It has not been a great performance. Sorry?
Yep, sorry, that was Ginger. He was coming on for quite a good lap as well. And at the exit of the second to last corner, he ends up invalidating, going the tiniest a bit wide as well. And that one is going to sting quite a bit for the Alfa Romeo driver and for the Alfa Romeo team as well, which is looking for a little bit more of a winning feeling after, of course, what happened to Chapelele earlier on in qualifying. So, I mean, we've got less than a minute to go. Everyone is now on their final laps now, it looks like. Only a few on our laps, which may benefit, but just look how close it is. Only 4/10 between the top 15, for example, really just does show how close this grid is. And, well, if you can find something...
I need to mention, too, Cazizzo is on an invalid lap, so if he was trying to set one here at the end, he has to really book it, as he's only got about 20 seconds left to go. To set another one. Of course, saving up a lot of ERS. He's only got 15 seconds. He does not have a lot of time here to navigate these last couple of corners. We'll see if he can do that, though. FRL Bread has gone up into P2. What a time right there. And right now, he's in second position. Devin in the pit lane won't be improving. Oh, no, it's not going to happen because Zizzle did not get across the line in time. And he is going to be it. Or wait, no, he is done in qualifying. And Raz McCrew has had a big spin right there. I wanted to mention the Haas driver of Barak Badev had a really impressive final lap there, put himself PA into the top 10.
Yeah, and look who's coming across the line. Mike Kay moving up to 14th place. Seems to be down near the bottom here, where it's quite close. Bugatti not going to be setting a lap. Who's that just gone up? Someone's gone up a bunch of positions. I'm not sure who that was. That was Maxro going up a bunch of positions. Looking further towards the end, is that Datamo? Is he on a lap? No, he's not. He's into the pits. Who's the Ferrari behind him? That must be Rowan. I'm guessing Rowan's into the pits as well. So next eyes is on Brett. He's into the pits. He's not going to be setting one more lap to try and go for pole position either. So the next driver across the line is Furhan Racer, who's also just invalidated, it looks like.
Oh, and it would have been such a nice time, too. Not enough to improve. I don't know.
That's
So I
exactly
actually
the
just
same.
completely shot myself in the foot with that comment. That was pretty stupid. Would have been nice, but it would have been slower. Anyway, that's it. I think we're done here in qualifying. It is it. Everybody's in the pit lane, or everybody's finished their laps, and Yannick has taken pole position here today. Not the driver I think we were expecting to see on top, but Kazizel had a pretty messy final half of qualifying and didn't really get in the final laps that he could have. I also want to mention Efrael, Brett, and Kazizel, equal times, second and third place. That is pretty insane, to say the least. So they're right on it with each other, and I expect to see that much as we move on into the race. So Yannick on pole position. Efrael Brett actually gets the second position as he was the next driver to set that equal time. That means Kazizel gets relegated down to P number 3. P4 for Devin. Vapor Noof in 5th. 6th for Isaac Kush. IFR Rowan in 7th. 8th for Barak Bedev. And 9th for Max Rowe. Furhan Racer in 10th position. That's your top 10 there in qualifying. FRL Ginger outside of the top 10. Alfa Romeo has a lot of work to do in the race. Dertamo in 12th. MNT Ghosts in 13th. VER Mike K in 14th. And 15th for Raz McCrew. Bugatti in 16th, and VER Yan F1 Racer in 17th. 18th for T's F1, not nearly as nice as a lap of as his teammate, CRL Sia, and FRO Chapelelli there at the bottom. So that is it for short qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the race. Sam, we just got done of qualifying. How are we looking for the race? It's looking rather competitive, to say the least.
I mean, competitive, in my opinion, will be a bit of an understatement. I mean, what's a word better than competitive, really? The grid looks super, super close. And, oh, okay, this wasn't on the agenda, was it? We have rain. So not only will we have a really, really close grid, but we also have different conditions for these drivers to master. So, for example, some drivers who would have been starting 6th perhaps have probably had a better pace in the rain. This could be rather interesting, this race, because of how close the grid was in qualifying.
So it is rainy conditions here, looking to be light rain, so we should be expecting the intermediate tires to come on for the drivers. And it's going to be interesting to see. I want to know which drivers put on a wet setup and which drivers decided to go for a dry setup. Now, obviously, Austria, a lot of straights. Wet setups and dry setups, they don't really matter too much, but in those corners, those really high-speed corners, that's where you're going to start to see the difference. For a few drivers, it's as simple as changing the front wing angle. For some, though, this could be very interesting depending on how they put their setups on. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, there's a few drivers who always get caught out and don't look at the weather and just decide, oh, let's put on that time trial setup, and they get caught out. So we will see how that takes underway. But here we go. That singular red light comes on. The formation lap is underway. And it's time to go over the grid order one more time for the 2021 Season 28 Formula 4 Austrian Grand Prix. A mouthful right there, but it was a beautiful time from Yannick, and he's put himself on pole position here today in the Renault. FRL Bread puts himself into P2 with Kazizel in P3. VER Devon in 4th with Vapor Nuth into the top 5. Isaac Kush in 6th position with IFR Rowan in 7th. Barak Bedev with a very impressive time in P8 for the Haas team. We'll see if he can convert that into some points. Max Rowe in 9th position, and Furhan Racer rounding off the top 10 there in the Mercedes. FRL Ginger, as we mentioned, struggled in qualifying at the later half and has put himself down in 11th position due to that, and he will have some work to do here in the rain. Dertamo in 12th in the Williams, and MNT Ghost in 13th in the Red Bull. VER Mike K is nowhere near his F5 rival of VER Devon. He is down all the way in 14th in the Racing Point. He's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to race with the McLaren driver here in this race. Raz McCrew is down in 15th with Bugatti in 16th. VERT Yan F1 Racer, quite a few places down from his teammate. He has a lot of work to do here in Austria. Ty's 24 underscore, that's not his name, is down in 18th position, far away from his teammate. Did not have the kind of qualifying he would have liked to have had. CRL had a lot of offs in Austria and did not set a good time because of it, and unfortunately will start down in 19th. And FRL Chapelelli, as we mentioned, had that accident in qualifying. You could see the carcass of the Alfa Romeo out of turn number 1, and he is going to have a lot of overtaking to do here in the rain. Very difficult to race here. Sam, before we get the 5 red lights, any final words?
Well, good luck to these drivers, really, because a lot of them are probably out of position, knowing how close this grid is. Some people didn't get their final laps in, let's remember, so usually when the track is at its best, of course, so we'll be in for an interesting ride, I reckon.
And here we go, ready for those 5 red lights. 1 lap of 36 ready to go here in Formula 4. Just getting ready. We're still waiting for those 5 lights to come on, and I think we're waiting on somebody. I'm not too sure who it is. And we're just sitting, and, well, my excited voice is now a little less excited. And there we go. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here in Austria. And the lights are out, and away we go. And it's been a tentative start from all the drivers, but Yannick gets away well. FRL Bread side by side of Kazizo coming in the turn 1. A big dive bomb from Isaac Kush, and it doesn't work out for him, and he goes back down the 4th position. And there's a Renault in the background who's had a big spin, and that's Max Rowe. And he is down in 20th position. A bad start for the Renault driver, opposite of his teammate Yannick, who leads away in lap 1, far away from the rest. 1.3 seconds, in fact. And it's 2 wide, 3 wide, almost 4 wide in some of these turns between all the drivers. Some very close racing so far. But it's Yannick ahead of FRL Brett, ahead of Kazizel, ahead of Isaac Kush. Vapor Noof in 5th position. Barak Badev is side by side with the McLaren of VER Devon 3043. He gets himself up, and now he's going side by side with the Mercedes. The Mercedes of Farhan Razor gets ahead of Barak Badev, and he's back down in 8th position where he qualified. Still keeping in that front wing. Close to that Mercedes, but he doesn't quite make it work. And now the driver's starting to go single file line as we get through the final parts of the lap here. FRL Ginger has a bit of a moment.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my, that's 3 cars out of this race! And that's got to be a safety car. Yes, it is. It is a safety car here in this race. I did not catch what happened there. Can you describe the carnage that happened there? And that's 3 cars out of it in 1 accident.
I mean, I didn't quite see it. I just looked back. I think from one of the drivers ahead. I think it may have been, Barak Badev or Ginger, someone like that. Maybe not Ginger, because Ginger's just the whole thing is just ruined on me there now. So Ginger's now apparently in the lead. But moving back to what I was saying, it looked like these 3 just came together with each other. It looks like they were all 3 wide or 2 wide or something. Like that, and what happened is they all collided together.
Ooh,
and because
Ginger!
of that,
Ginger's picked up a 5-second penalty. He's collided with Barak Badev under safety car conditions here. Not a good start for Ginger in this race, as he drops a few. So he did drop a few positions down in P9 now, and has picked up a penalty for insult to injury.
Yeah, I seriously don't know what's happening with this. With those 3, they just collided with each other. I think it may have been unlucky for one who came out, but for all of them to be out as well, I wasn't expecting that. Perhaps wing damage I would have expected for all of them, but we've got a safety car now. I have no idea if this rain is all race or whether we'll get to dry conditions. But for Yannick, I think he'll be pretty annoyed, I have to say, because he got the perfect start. He got a brilliant start, and he was gaining away from Bread lap after lap after lap. So it's really unfortunate for Yannick, but I'm pretty sure obviously he wouldn't really mind too much since he only had a 1.5 second gap, but it was gaining. So frustrating for the Renault, but to be honest with you, it was still very, very early doors, and there'll be a lot of time really to make up for the drivers behind.
Now, Ginger smartly takes his pit stop early. Remember, that 5-second penalty can be served in the pit lane, and that's exactly what FRL Ginger does. So he does not have to worry about that penalty any longer as he takes his pit stop early. He's down in 17th. Sure, a lot of work to do. We know that. But at least he gets that penalty out of the way, and he can move on and get into some closer racing. As we mentioned here, ladies and gentlemen, under safety car conditions, lap 3 of 36 here in this Austrian Grand Prix, and it was a nasty accident in turn number 1. Raz McCrew, Ties 24, and Dertamo all out in one accident, and I didn't catch the carnage, but I'm sure we'll see the onboards later on our Twitter feeds. That was a nasty one, but nonetheless, we are down to 17 drivers right now in this Austrian Grand Prix. Yannick had a really fantastic start. Let's go back to the start there. Yannick just had no problem, no wheel spin coming out of the corner, and he didn't have to worry about any drivers because they had to deal with their own drivers behind them. So Yannick really just had a perfect getaway.
Yeah, a very, very good day. Very good start from Yannick again. And of course, he'll need to get that away again whenever the safety car does come in. It won't be this lap, despite I think they've all caught up to the back now. So another lap behind the safety car, probably not what these guys would have wanted. Of course, they probably want to just get going racing again. But Yannick's got to do the job again and he's got to make sure those tyres are in the right temperature to get off the line. Because of course, in the wet conditions, of course, grip would obviously be more prioritized to have than in the dry conditions, because the grip in the wet is obviously going to be much worse than the dry. So for Yannick, it's all about making sure he can keep that tyre temperature, and because he's leading the pack, he's got the option to do that.
FRL Bread, he had some problems at the start there, immediately side by side. I want to mention also Isaac Kush almost caused a similar huge accident there. He really tried a daring move in the turn 1. That one didn't quite work out for him, but he did recover, and he sits P4 at the moment. Vapor Nuth has put himself into the top 5 right here, and he will be happy with that one. We should be getting back under racing here at the end of this lap. It's pretty much the entire grid, actually one Alfa Romeo of Efro Schiaparelli. He's still catching up, so I'm not too sure. He is really struggling. He got wing damage. What? So Efro Schiaparelli has had a crash under safety car, and that is why I think we're going to be seeing another lap of this safety car. Efro Schiaparelli, that is not good, and this has just been an awful affair here at the Red Bull Ring so far for the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, and I think what even would be more concerned is the safety car did come in this lap. It looks like it's not staying out for another lap, so kind of fortunate there for the Alfa Romeo driver as he comes steaming.
It's coming across the line right now.
Yep, so lucky there for Schiaparelli. I will go back to try and see what happened to him. I just have no clue. As he comes into the pits, I'm just watching back the footage now to see when he dropped down. I wonder if he's gone through turn 1 and somehow spun the car. I don't know how he would have done that. It's under safety car conditions, whether it's just warming up his tyres and he's accidentally spun off.
Nonetheless, I mean, we don't want to badger the driver too much. Obviously, a mistake of some kind under safety car. Unfortunately, that's a pit stop and a wing change for Schiaparelli. I don't know if the safety car is going to wait too much longer for him to catch up. But, of course, that pit stop leaves him well behind the pack. And we do have a bit of time before the lap ends, so he could possibly catch up.
Well, it must have been it's the exit of turn 3, but it's well past the corner. So, yeah, I wonder if it's the case is he's just gone to warm his tyres up and he spun the car where he didn't want to. That's kind of an odd incident. I mean, the good thing for him, if he does catch up...
We're not noticing this. It's not raining anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It is pretty dry out there, and the rain is disappearing. The tires are still spraying some water, but it is not raining, and we're going to be moving on to slicks rather soon. And this is going to make this restart very interesting. What do the drivers do, obviously? It's still wet out there, but I think Yannick might be slowing up. He's like, please go dry, just make the pit stop now. This is going to throw strategies out the window. A very short amount of rain here at the start of this race, and Yannick is about to get our restart underway.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone will opt for the pit this early. There's still obvious spray there, but look how tentative everyone was on the throttle of the exit, only through one corner, but as they come to the line, everyone seemed to be a little bit slower then, obviously, as it does dry up. But obviously, it's still limited spray there, not ready for the dries just yet. But I tell you what, it does already look like it's going to be drying up soon. As there, I thought someone was going down the inside. I think that was Bidev, but he's kind of put himself in an interesting situation as here comes Rowan moving towards the outside here. Is he going to make the move around the outside then of Bidev, or is Bidev going to keep the position? A little bit of a tap there, but I think he will be fine. And in fact, Rowan moves down on the position. He's lost it to Mike Kay, who's already up to 9th place.
Mike Kay taking advantage of that bit of contact there between the Haas, but now Rowan diving around the outside, keeping the pressure on Mike Kay. Mike Kay has a bit of a squabble from the rear, doesn't quite get enough traction out of the turn. Back on the inside is Rowan, and wow, what a nice battle so far here in Austria. Side by side, both Rowan and Mike Kay, but Rowan enough finally gets the traction and gets ahead of Mike Kay. Mike Kay thought he could take that position, but Rowan is a very nice driver, and he knows how to race side by side very nicely. So it is still good for Inter tires, but I'm sure it is going to be ending soon. Yannick has set the fastest lap at 1:13.2, and I'm trying to see. There's still enough spray coming off those tires, but as soon as that DRS is activated, I think we're going to start to see some pit stops coming in, because that means it's time for slicks. And the actually, that spray continues to disappear. You can see very little of it coming off of the tires right there from Yannick's Renault right there. This is getting quite treacherous for these grooved green wool tires.
Yeah, I think it'd be very difficult to know when the time is to come in, because arguably I think some drivers would think it's okay to come in now. But the thing is, if you come in now and your tyres are too cold or your brakes are too cold, obviously as you exit the pit lane, there is a wall right there very close to you as you turn out onto the pit exit. So these drivers have got to be careful and very cautious about when they make the crossover point, whenever it is. It looks like Yannick is staying out for another lap. Is anyone debating whether to go onto the soft tyres or, well, onto the dry tyres anyway? Yes, there is. Rowan, who looks like they're going to be entering the pits this lap. And there we go. And there goes a lot of guys, actually. Bugatti in as well. And also Jan F1 Racer. So we've already got runners going onto the dry tyres.
I don't know if Rowan, almost like Rowan slid into the pit lane there. And he's going to put on the medium tires. So here we go. Slicks are coming on now. This could be make it and break it for some of these drivers who have gone into the pit lane and said it's not good enough for the Inters anymore. And you can see the spray is just dissipating and dissipating from those tires on the Inters. And it looks pretty bone dry, if I'm going to be honest there. And DRS has, in fact, been enabled on this lap. So that means I believe it's time to put on some dries. But if you are drivers like Ginger and such who have put on a new set of slick tires, you are going to be very happy. In fact, we have our first slick battle right here, and this is Jan Racer and Bugatti going side by side. Bugatti now has to deal with a switchback from the Mercedes, and look at that. A very nice switchback move, and Jan F1 Racer is up into 14th position.
Yeah, that grip on the soft tyres in these first couple of laps will definitely be better than the mediums, of course, where grip will matter so much at the moment with the transition point. So these soft tyres will make it much easier, but there's still a bit of understeer there and a little bit of caution for Jan Racer. And it's not like, obviously, everyone's pitting.
Chapelelli's not.
Except for Chapelelli.
Well, Chapelelli has nothing to lose right now because he's had a pretty horrid race so far. Can he get a bit of a gap, maybe? Because, of course, the safety car just came in. So the drivers are relatively close to each other. Chapelelli might be able to get a bit of an advantage staying out as he did. He'll have a bit of a gap to some of the drivers and may be able to jump a few.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I feel like it's over to dries now. I think the crossover point is hit, but he's looking very, very close. Talking about very close, Furhan Racer battling at the moment with Rowan. Rowan should come out ahead. He's up to 7th place, and that's a big moment there. He's almost lost a car, and he loses the position in the end. Vapor Nuff up to 4th place there. So a lot of drivers now making up positions, and I don't think it's worked for Chapelelli in the end. He's dropping tenths of a second. He's dropped about a second, perhaps, in the last 5 seconds, and he's staying out. Is there more rain on the way? I wonder, because why would Chapelelli be staying out?
It makes no sense to me, but 4.6 seconds is the gap right now, and Yannick, as you would imagine on the soft tires, is really starting to catch up to the back of that Alfa Romeo. No sense what's going on there in the Alfa Romeo garage, but right now, a titanic battle going on here in the mid-pack right now, and that's Yan F1 and Barakbadev going side by side, and Barakbadev has looked. There's a lot of lag going on my screen for Barakbadev, and he is having now a side-by-side battle with Ginger. Ginger has gone ahead of him. Rowan now getting ahead of him. Noof is going side-by-side of Brett, and Noof up into third position, ahead of Brett, who's in fourth, and now Kazizel in fifth position.
Yeah.
Oh, no! Barakbadev has spun the Ferrari around right there, and I gotta be honest, I was riding on board with Barakbadev, and that lag is really starting to, I think, annoy a few drivers, because that, in my opinion, was the Haas's fault. He kept his nose there where he maybe shouldn't have, and he did spin around the Ferrari of Rowan. But Barakbadev, I don't know if it's on your screen, but on my screen, he is jumping around all over the place.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing for me. He's having big issues with his internet. I wonder if a couple of guys will question that and perhaps want him to potentially drop to reserve or something, because I think a lot of people, I think there is a sort of rule in this league and everything, if your internet is not tolerable, then you cannot race it, which in my opinion, although it is kind of harsh, it is kind of fair, because you don't want races ruined because of lag or internet issues. So I think it is a fair sort of assumption of that, but yeah, it's not really good from Badev's side, where he's basically taken out Rowan, but Rowan seems to be, I say he seems to be alright, but Shapalili isn't exactly close competition, is he? 4 seconds down the road.
So Barakbadev has made a pit stop, and he goes out onto the soft compound tires, and the glitch gods are making that car move in some very interesting locations. There's a bit of a battle going on right now with Bugatti and Farhan F1 Racer, and they're going side by side, not where you normally see a battle here. Bugatti has to overcorrect a bit, and a bit of a contact between the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri, and they're having some banging wheels moments here, ladies and gentlemen. Side by side for the penultimate turn. How did they make that work? I do not know. MNT Ghost now may try to get involved here as he's starting to catch up to the back of Farhan Racer. He's got the DRS open. He's going on to the inside, coming in the turn one. Can he make an overtake on the Mercedes? He just about gets it. Farhan Racer keeps the car side by side, now slots behind the Red Bull. And not only that, MNT Ghost does have DRS. That's going to allow him to pull a bit of a gap. A nice move by MNT Ghost in the turn one, but some very nice battles in Austria here, as it looks like even the sun might be starting to come out here, as it's getting quite a bit more blue out there in Austria.
Yeah, it's some very, very good battling between Bugatti, Ghost, and Farhan Racer. Very good battling, and definitely something that really, really shows you why F4 is some of the best drivers in the world when it comes to sim racing. They are brilliant drivers, so close in this division as well, so expect to see a lot more battles. But Bugatti and Farhan Racer, the respect they had for each other through that whole final sector there, of course the penultimate corner, what a move there in the end from Bugatti. How they didn't make contact in the end, of course, usually that corner does obviously make you obviously have contact, of course. And obviously Ghost as well, at the right place at the right time, just into turn one, nice and easy. There you go. There's the position up to 9th place. So a lot of drivers doing pretty good at the moment, but Bugatti and Ghost seem to be on a bit of a mission at the moment.
Max Rowe and Devon are having a bit of a moment. They were side by side at one point, but Max Rowe just seemed to have made a pretty easy move on the inside into the turn there, so not too much problem there for Max Rowe, and he gets ahead of the McLaren. We'll see if Devon can make a counter-offensive, but medium versus hard is going to be rather difficult. The hard tires here at Austria, just going to say from personal experience, they're just a little bit slippery, to say the least. Isaac Kush is the first driver to get caught out on track limit warnings because he has a 3-second time penalty to his name. So we'll see how that affects him going on to the race. Very surprising, actually. About halfway through almost the race, Isaac Kush, one of the only drivers with a penalty, and he's about to get overtaken, I think, by FRO Ginger, who's got some DRS and a lot of ERS to play over, and Isaac Kush is going to have a problem keeping that Alfa Romeo behind.
Yeah, and here he comes, sending Alfa Romeo. Should be a nice and easy move. Not even overtake needed here. Isaac Kush doesn't even try to defend. He knows Ginger ahead of him will have to make a stop. And here's where the advantages for the hard tyres. They will not have to make a stop again. So Isaac Kush surely will be able to go to the end. The medium tyre drivers, it's going to be a bit difficult to make it to the end. I think it is possible, but very, very difficult indeed. And obviously the soft tyre drivers, that means that they will have definitely to make a stop again. So if there isn't any more rain on the way, if Isaac Kush can just make the most of his tyres and stick there, he's in a fairly good position right now.
So, nonetheless, Isaac Kush follows behind Ginger. We have another 3-second time penalty. This time it goes to Gazizel, who's in the top 3 at the moment. Some gaps are starting to form a bit here in the race, so things starting to calm down a little bit. We have a little bit of time to at least discuss and such. It's been a really interesting race. We've had rainfall, we've had accidents, we've had some beautiful overtakes and battling. It's been an overall pretty good race so far. Yannick is looking really in control, though. I've seen virtually no mistakes from the Renault driver. He is looking to capture this win today.
Yeah, most certainly at the moment. And of course, like I said, he has to make another pit stop. So it's all going to be about that pace in that second stint that he has on the dry tyres, which it would be, I would have thought, on the mediums. Whether he could do soft is going to be questionable, but he looks fairly clear, as you said. With Vapor Nuff in second place and Kazizel in third place as well. He's fell back quite a bit at the moment, but it looks like Isaac Kush on the hard tyres now is staying with the soft tyre drivers, so I wonder if those soft tyres are starting to drop off a little bit now.
We'll have to wait and see. This is actually quite interesting. Yannick, very little mistakes. Was the soft tyre a mistake, possibly?
Ooh, it possibly could have been. That's what I mean here. It looks like Isaac Kush and Thurhan Racer don't have to pit again. I don't think Thurhan Racer could be a threat to the race win for Yannick, but Isaac Kush most certainly can be. And Rowan is out. He's in the pits though, so shouldn't cause a safety car or VSC for that matter. But like I said, Isaac Kush sticking with Ginger right now. He's not looking for an overtake. There's no point overtaking Ginger. But he's sticking with him for now, and the good thing about that is that he is going to be in a really good position to potentially win this race if he can just keep with these front runners on the soft tyres. It just depends whether Brett can actually take those tyres to the end of the race, which is very unlikely. And Bugatti just behind has just overtaken Jan, F1 racer, so those mediums are starting to come to light as those soft tyres are coming towards the end.
CRLC picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's 3 drivers with 3-second time penalties now on the board. Lap 17 of 36 right now. You're watching live coverage of the Formula 4 World Championship. We're here at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix. Yannick is leading away from Vapor Nuff, Kazizel in third position, FRL Bread in fourth, and FRL Ginger rounding off the top 5. Isaac Kush right behind him. Isaac Kush on that hard compound tire is actually starting to catch up to Ginger a little bit. Is Ginger having some trouble keeping it behind Ginger as he starts to lose tire grip? Isaac Kush just may have the pace advantage at this point, as those soft tires surely are starting to come towards the end of their lifespan of competitiveness.
Yeah, and there's a message in the chat for Lickle Blocks asking to get tire data up, so I think he wants that from you at the moment, but we don't have the TAS system, unfortunately, so we cannot have the extensive tires percentages, which is unfortunate, but we can show the tires that drivers are on. And at the moment, it looks like we could be looking at one stop for the hard tyre drivers, and for the medium tyre drivers, we could be looking at a 2-stop maybe, and of course the soft tyres going for that 2-stop. But at the moment, Isaac Kush in a perfect position, Bugatti in a good position. If you can obviously hold those mediums to the end, it shouldn't be possible, I don't reckon, though. I think there is another stop coming for him. But at the moment, Isaac Kush keeping with Ginger, which is an interesting one. Even more interesting, we've got a battle for the lead now. Yannick's tyres have just probably dropped off massively then, or he's made a big mistake, because from nowhere, Vapor Nuff is in the battle for the lead at the moment.
And it's looking pretty close. Yannick having some trouble on the soft tires there. Vapor and Noof in second position, looking to make the move. Maybe Yannick may look to make his pit stop now. Pit stop window is open, according to AWS F1 Insights, but they stay out, of course. They would have cut the pit lane right there if they had decided to do that. So we will see another lap, but can we see an overtake now? There is your pit window, lap 19 to 22 for a one-stop strategy on the soft tires. Of course, that's not including the fact that they started on the inters very early on in this race. Here comes Vapor Noof in the slipstream of Yannick. He's getting very close. He may make a bit of a dive coming into the turn here. He's going to think against it. Oh, but he actually hits the back of Yannick, but doesn't pick up any wing damage. So he'll be happy that he didn't do that, but he is getting very close to Yannick, and he may think about just making the overtake regardless whether or not who makes the pit stop first.
Yeah, but he was getting kind of close there, a bit too close to Yannick. Maybe he could have just made the move. Since these guys are pitting again, they will be pitting soon as well, but he could have just made the move there, because obviously after that corner, it's very difficult to get back at him into turn 4, but we will probably see a move for the lead in this lap. Isaac Kush has actually got past Ginger now, so Isaac Kush up to 5th place, and he is on a mission at the moment, is the Racing Point driver, and his teammate all the way down in 14th there, so representing the team quite strong. But here comes Nuff again. He's getting close, but not too close to make the move. But here we go. And then, oh my goodness. Getting a bit too much to the curb there, and that's his opportunity gone. It looks like for Vapor Nuff. He's not going to get the move done this lap unless he gets it into turn 4, but he's very late and almost hitting the back of Yannick again. But that's an opportunity gone for this lap alone, and perhaps a little too eager on the throttle, but of course it's probably just more of the case of too much curb.
I want to mention Isaac Kush has the fastest time on a hard set of tires, so you know which tire has the advantages. These softs are not the tire, to say the least. Right now, Vapor Noof and Yannick in a bit of a battle right now for the lead of the race. Yannick is having some trouble on those soft tires. Vapor Noof is having a bit of car control issues. You saw there out of turn number 1. Almost lost the rear end right there. Got it back under control. Some good car control from the Williams driver. He has another opportunity now as Yannick has a really bad slide out of the final turn, and that's going to seal the deal for the Renault driver unless Noof makes a similar mistake. Coming in the turn 1, he cuts across the Renault driver, covers him off, and now he's got some major pace right now ahead of Yannick. You can already see that gap starting to form right away.
Yeah, good there from Noof, finally capitalising on a mistake that Renault made out the exit the corner, getting too much on the yellow sausage curb, I think it would be, if that was the case, but got a bit too much of that, and it really unsettled his car, which obviously meant that Noof can get by, and obviously Yannick didn't get the best exit, did he, out the first corner, so Noof just had the advantage there, and he is flying away now. He is clearly the quicker driver of the two, so and look at the graining on that front right tyre. I really do think Yannick's coming in this lap then. Whether Noof will do that now that he's got into the lead, so he's got that security now. No, he doesn't. Yannick stays out as well, though, interestingly. I'm surprised Yannick didn't decide to pit, because his tyre, particularly on that front right, which we can see, looks absolutely awful at the moment, because this all is 3.4 behind. But how far is Isaac Kush of the leaders? 11 seconds, so he will be in the lead of this race. And for Bread, this is actually a good opportunity to make up some places. But more importantly, for those who will go onto the medium tyres, maybe onto the soft tyres, which I'm guessing will be the strategy now going forward for the front three, since they haven't pitted yet already, which you don't have to pit at the moment, but it probably would be good to pit very soon. I'm wondering if they're going on for a soft strategy then now.
Vapor Noof is in the lead. Lap 22 was the end of the predicted pit stop strategy by Amazon Web Services if you are on the soft tires. The sun is starting to come out. The track temperature, I'm sure, is getting a bit better. Those soft tires may have a bit of an advantage in this situation. They are obviously going to grip a lot better under hotter conditions, and Vapor Noof stays out, and Yannick goes into the pits. So, interesting, the strategy calls here. Yannick decides to make his pit stop. Vapor Noof is going to stay out. Was that the right call from Vapor Noof? Is Yannick pitting a bit too early as he is leading this race right now from FRL Bread right now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very difficult one here for Vape. Of course, those tyres just don't look good, do they? The soft tyres towards the end, they've really gone off the pace compared to what they were before, and even struggling for traction out the exit of the corner was the Williams driver. So now it's going to be all about the outlap now for Yannick, and obviously not trying to destroy his tyres here, but for Yannick, he's going to the end of the line on the soft tyres, and well, he's not that far behind Furhan Racer. But we said about Isaac Kush, look how far ahead he is. He's 7 seconds away from Nick at the moment, so it's going to be a bit of a climb now for the Renault driver if he wants to win. But he's got to get past Furhan Racer first, and again, I do suspect Bugatti and Ghost a bit, including Brett as well as Nuf, come into the pits now.
So Noof into the pits. I've been actually riding a bit with Furhan Racer, getting very close to the back of M&T Ghost. M&T Ghost is going to go into the pit lane, though, and get ahead of M&T Ghost finally. And we have a yellow flag, and that's Efro Chapelelli, and he's had a crash, and that's a safety car. That's a safety car. Isaac Kush comes out. He has not made a pit stop, and this may have screwed over some of the drivers who are looking to make a bit of an advantage here. This is a crazy safety car here, and this is going to blow everything out the window. If you are on the hard tires and you are excited, this was going to be it. A one-stop, say goodbye to that.
Wow, okay, so Vapornuf, more interestingly, has come out with an extensive lead on Yannick. That doesn't even matter anymore either at the moment. Isaac Kush, Bugatti, Furhan, and Devon and Sia, they will be kicking themselves right now because they are going to get absolutely eaten off the grid. I wonder if Isaac Kush has enough time to really make a decent pit stop and get back out ahead in a decent position. He won't be in the lead of this race now that he pits again, and Bugatti most certainly won't. I just wonder where these two will come out, really, at the front here, but particularly Isaac Kush very close, obviously, to the front runners, but Vapornuf is coming around the final corner, and, well, a bunch of guys have to change strategy, and into the pits everyone comes, and it looks like we're going for a soft tyre dash to the line.
So Vapornuf, so you know what really hurts for drivers like Isaac Kush is like you could say, okay, maybe that safety car came out a couple laps later, right? But that doesn't help them anymore, right? Because if they pitted a little later and that safety car came out, then those soft tires would have had a grip advantage. But now they're in the same boat as drivers like Vapornuf and Yannick and Brett, and there is no tire advantage whatsoever. So drivers like Isaac Kush who are looking to snatch a victory here today will not be taking that advantage due to that crash from Effarel Chapelelli. He is out of the Austrian Grand Prix. 11 laps on those hard tires, and somehow, we don't know how it happened, but he spun the car in some way or form and is out of this race. Not too sure what happened, but unfortunately, that's brought out the safety car. Unfortunately for some, that has ended their possible chances of winning this race. Of course, something crazy can happen, and here in Austria, it always seems to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Austria is probably one of the best tracks for action in the end, and obviously we'll be waiting for the safety car to come in. It will be waiting a little while, I think. I don't know if Burt Bidev is going to be considered in this race. He has obviously left the session now, but the safety car's staying out another lap, so a bit annoying for the drivers, I have to say. But yeah, I think everyone seems to be in a good position now to get underway again, but it looks like everyone has had a bit of a shuffle here. M&T Ghost up to 7th place. He's moved up quite a few positions in this race. Let's actually have a look at the positions game. Bugatti up 10 positions there. He's on for a really good position, really, then, for the end of this race, but a bunch of guys already going down a lot. Devon looked to be having a decent race before, obviously, the safety car there. It looked like Devon was on for a decent race, and that's kind of gone out the window now. And these guys are just going to have to try and make moves, which doesn't look very easy around this track. It may look like there's a lot of opportunities, but, well, this is one of the disadvantages to Slipstream. Well, to DRS, not to Slipstream, to DRS, is these straights also don't promote racing, as they could all be in a big DRS train and that everyone is just getting the same amount of slipstream, basically. So, really, the only one under threat from overtaking, which is within a second of each other, which I suspect to be the case since all these drivers were very close in qualifying, Vapor Nuff is the only one who really be under a lot of pressure when it comes to drivers trying to overtake them.
VRT Yana Phone Racer in a bit of a pickle here. He's on some medium tires. He's the only driver who did not make a pit stop. I guess it may not have made a lot of competitive sense for him to do so. But how is this restart going to be for him? Now, obviously, there's a bit of a caveat here. Of course, that means that the F1 Racer will be quite a bit faster, I think, even though they are 4-lap old tires. He will still, I think, be a bit faster near the end of this race, but the very end of this race.
Yeah, it looks like people will be looking to get this race underway and looking to potentially make an impact. How likely it is to see an impact made, though, is very difficult indeed. Perhaps FRL Bread looking to get a potential win. He wasn't in the hunt for a win, but he's definitely on for it now as we look to get closer towards an overtake. We could see an overtake here from Isaac Kush trying to make the positions up. Is he going to really send it on Kazizel? Thinking about it, kind of half-hearted though, and in the end he decides to not go with it. Definitely was thinking about it, and a bunch of others thinking about moves as well. Furhan Racer looking for a move on M&T Ghost, but he's just going to slot in just behind the Red Bull there, as the Red Bull just breaks a little later as well for good measure. So a lot of drivers right now very close to each other, but it's all about if you can keep up to Vapor Nuff, and also if you can get close enough to overtake, which at the moment a lot of drivers are not in the position to do so. But a little mistake can easily get a driver on their back foot, and well, mistakes are easily made around a track like this where it is so high speed and so difficult.
MNT Ghost and Furhan Racer, they've been next to each other all race long. Vapor Noof sets the fastest lap of the session, a 104.9. We're into the 104s right now here in the Austrian Grand Prix. Lap 28 of 36. MNT Ghost has a bit of an issue from the rear end right there, and he has a bit of a squabble. Thankfully for him, he's got some slipstream. No DRS yet to assist any of the drivers. It's pure pace and it's pure ERS if they want to use it. But I think they're going to be saving up those tanks for a little bit later. Isaac Kush is using a bit of it out of the exits to get that extra traction, try to get close to Gazizel and possibly make an overtake. He tried an overtake on the restart, but it really wasn't one that had a lot of passion in it, to say the least, and he did not make the move, and he's still in 5th position. We'll see if he can do so. Gazizel, though, he's got a bit of a problem. He's not keeping up with these top three. He is now back by almost a second, and if he moves outside of a second, he will not have DRS. Isaac Kush could be right all over the back of that AlphaTauri as we're moving on into the final stages of this race.
Yeah, he's got to be very, very careful, hasn't he? Because this all, he drops out of that DRS range. That could be P4 gone in the blink of an eye, really. He's very close to losing it as well. On the edge there, he's going to have to be pushing a little bit to try and keep within. Speaking about keeping within, of course, Vapor Nuff got a pretty decent gap ahead of Yannick at the moment, so Yannick not going to be close enough for a move at the moment, but obviously Vapor Nuff is going to be the one in disadvantage upon this whole field, really, because he's the only one that will not have the DRS. We're going to exclude the Haas in 15th place because he's technically not even here at the moment, but everyone behind Nuff at the moment does have the DRS, and I wonder if Kazizel can stick within. He's been very, very close to being out of that range, and he's just about sticking in every single lap, and Isaac Kush has kind of fell back a little bit, could open the door to Bugatti very soon as well. So a lot of battles still probably to be done here, and of course Bugatti, of course last week's race winner, would be looking to take the lead of the championship, which I'm not sure if that will be him who would take the lead of the championship in current circumstance. I can't do quick maths at the moment. My mind has just gone completely blank on who might lead the championship.
People who do quick maths are weird people. Let's just say that way. I can't do quick maths even on a good day. So if you can do quick maths, you're weird. So anyway, We're having a nice race here, ladies and gentlemen, though, and right now, maybe, at the moment, Bugatti would not take the lead of the championship, but he is in a nice position in 6th right there, behind Isaac Kush, trying to find a way past. Kazizel, meanwhile, has caught back up, and he was at a threat of losing that DRS from the back of FRL Bread. He's caught back up, made some pace, and he is right up there in the thick of it. Yannick and Vapor Noof. Now, Yannick has no penalties of any kind right now, so we could be seeing a rather titanic battle here for the lead of this race. No penalties, straight pace, lots of ERS, some rear flaps about to open up, and we are going to have ourselves a pretty nice race near the end of here, I think, if Yannick can really put in the overcharge.
Yeah, and at the moment, everyone, excuse me, in the DRS zone, and that is what I'm saying, it's so disruptive in a way, in the sense of all these drivers are not going to be making overtakes. Perhaps only Yannick is in the position to really feasibly do so, and they're very close to each other. I say that.
Oh, look at this. There's a three-way battle right now. Sia going on the inside of the Mercedes of Yan F1 racer, and he's up in the 13th position. Mike K was involved a little bit in that battle as well. Yan F1 racer, will he look for a counterattack? He can't even try a counterattack as he's nowhere near to make that overtake, and he has a big lockup, and he moves down in the 14th position. A nice move by Cyril Sia up in the 13th.
Yeah, very, very close racing as well in the end there, but it looks like those guys have kind of fallen back from everyone else, so in the end it's not a big thing, because Zizzle picking up a 3-second penalty. I believe he had one before. Yes, he did, so that's 6 seconds now for Zizzle, so he's going to drop back loads and perhaps even drop out the top, out the top 10 here at the moment.
It's looking rather close. Yep, some of those gaps are pretty close.
Yep, looking very, very close indeed. And Isaac Kush as well, with the 3-second penalty, is not going to be a good advantage for him. Yannick, I think he's just waiting for the right time to strike on Vapor Nerf at the moment, but he just doesn't look close enough at the moment. They've both got loads of ERS to use, so if it does come down to a last lap showdown, if they have the ERS they have now, Yannick won't get the position done, or would find it difficult anyway, because Vapor Nerf is in a position to defend at the moment.
VER Devon is rounding off the top 10 right now. He's trying to size up Ginger to make an overtake at some point. Lap 32 of 36. Problem is for all these drivers, they're all single file line right now. They all pretty much have DRS, so none of them are in a quite competitive advantage over the other. It's really, do you make a mistake? How much ERS do you have? That's really what's mattering right now, because everybody's got the pace. But Devon is looking to have a little bit more pace than Ginger, and he might look to make a move here and up in the P9 towards the end of this race. And now Bugatti has picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that's not good for Bugatti. Isaac Kush is looking close to Kazizel. He looks to the inside, slots back behind Kazizel. Down in 5th position at the moment, looking to get up into 4th. Of course, he would drop. Actually, no, he will drop. He will get ahead, I believe, of Kazizel at the moment, as he only sitting on 3 seconds at the moment. But Isaac Kush is not going to be in 4th. Of course, he has penalties of his own, and not a lot of drivers actually have picked up penalties in this race. Rather surprisingly, I think, actually, given the track limit problems here at Austria, the rants I've seen on Twitter about it.
Excuse me? Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. There's loads of things going on at the moment, but there's just not much action, is there? Like, at the moment, it's just DRS trains at the moment. And again, it's getting a bit desperate now for Yannick at the moment. He, at the moment, is definitely not in a position to attack the Williams ahead of him. And no one is in a position right now to really attack anyone. At the moment.
I am telling you one thing. When I go to hell, this is going to be my punishment. I'm going to be sitting in a black room with nothing around me, and I'm going to be watching an F1 race, but it's only a DRS train, and there's no overtakes. This is the worst of the worst. But we're getting close. Isaac Kush keeps looking on the inside of Kazizel, and he just wants to make that overtake. You can see him getting close to it. He doesn't want to give it up. He knows that the penalties will help him, but he wants to make that overtake. He wants to get it on track. There's always that pride of getting it on track. We have about 2 more laps to go in this race, as Vapor Noof and Yannick are 1 and 2 and about 5/10 apart from each other.
Yeah, very, very close. But Isaac Kush at the moment, he's really trying to push the car to its limits there. He's going a bit wide again there with a bit of wheel spin at the exit of the corner. Bugatti perhaps could be licking his lips a little bit, looking at an overtaking opportunity. But for MNT Ghost right now, all the guys ahead of him, the 3 guys ahead of him, have a penalty. So he could just sit back, just sit where he is right now, and he's made up 3 positions, nice and easy for him. But yeah, it's just very, very interesting at the moment to see where Kazizel, well, particularly Kazizel, because Kazizel may actually fall entirely out of the points here because of that. Isaac Kush and Bugatti, I think, should just about get points positions from their ones, but for Kazizel, those 6 points, those 6 seconds of penalties will most certainly punish him come the end of this race, and that's exactly what safety cars do, particularly towards the end. When they push the drivers really close together, I tell you what it does, really, for the guys who've got penalties, is a huge punishment for them.
So we move on to the final lap of this race. It has been an absolute showstopper of a race right now. Vapornoof leading away, and it looks like he'll take the win here unless something happens. Yannick is in second position, 8 tenths behind, not in a position to make an overtake. We'll see if we have any last lap battles right now. Isaac Kush has dropped back a bit from Kazizel. Kazizel is forcing his way to Brad. Oh, and then Isaac Kush hit the back of him, and that might have ruined Kazizel's chance of making an overtake. But here we go. The gloves are starting to fly off. One final lap. It's time to go here, ladies and gentlemen. It is showdown. A big dive around the outside from Farhan Racer, trying to make it past MNT Ghost side by side through these corners. And there goes Farhan Racer ahead of MNT Ghost. And Farhan Racer knows what's at stake. He has positions to make up. And here comes the Alfa Romeo. But meanwhile, Vapornoof is coming around the final couple of corners. And here comes Vapornoof around the final turn. He is going to win the Austrian Grand Prix. We've had a crash, and it's been Mike K. But across the line, there goes Noof, and we have some battles up and down the grid order. And it's Farhan Racer who gets ahead of Ghost near the end, and he moves himself up in the 4th. He knew what was at stake, and he got it down pat.
Very desperate from Farhan Racer, but brilliant racing again. Nice, respectful racing from all of them. Brilliant racing again today, which we've seen there. But Farhan Racer and Ghost being a little bit lenient perhaps for the last lap. I was expecting him to be ultra defensive about things and really, really trying to push Farhan Racer wide and everything. But he actually was quite conservative and respectful, which is fair play to him. He lost the position, yes, but at the end of the day, Ghost and everything, he wouldn't be too bad losing that point at the moment. It's some more points that has bundled up, and it kind of makes up for last week as well. And for Red Bull, it gets some good points on the board then for them. So M&T Ghost has done a good job with that one. But at the end of the day, all these drivers and everything, they've just shown us again they have a lot of close sort of traits to them. And Vapornoof only 3 points this season before today. And he's come out here today, and I guess he's from New Zealand, so he's a New Zealander, and he's come out here and he's put on a show. He started 5th, and he's gone and won the race. So brilliant drive from the Williams driver, and of course Vapornoof. Well, the Williams team and Vapornoof is what I was meant to say.
Yannick is in second position after a hard-fought race, but unfortunately didn't work out for him in the tire strategy. FRO Bread in third, 4th for Farhan Racer, 5th for M&T Ghost. A great drive from those two. VER Devon in 6th, 7th for FRO Ginger, 8th for Max Rowe, 9th for Isaac Kush, 10th for Bugatti. Bugatti rounding off the top 10 just inside the points. Kazizel in 11th, outside of the points. For VRT, Yan F1 Racer had a bit of a moment near the end of that race in 12th. 13th is CRL Sia, Mike K in 14th. 15th for Brakbadev, 16th for Shapalelli, 17th for Rohan Dertamo in 18th. 19th for Ties, and Ross McCrew in 20th. Those are the drivers at the end there who did not finish the race. A whole host of accidents and retirements. I just got through the standings there at the end so that the standings can be done correctly. I had to really rush the end there of the final few drivers' names. But what a race, ladies and gentlemen. What a drive. And more importantly, my internet survived. So we got through the entire commentary. That's internet is the driver of the day, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, we're going to get into the showroom, and we are going to interview some of the drivers, I presume.
Well, if any of you want to join us, I would have thought so. It was a nice battle, so yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we are a what would you say it would be? We're
Democratic. They don't force the drivers into interviews.
No, that's not what I was trying to. That's not what I was thinking of. But my brain's going into a bit of a stutter right now. We're an acquired taste, us two. You know, we're not always one that we want to be talked to in some situations. I guess we do say some things. But nonetheless, we are just going to keep up the Williams car. Hopefully, we get some drivers in the party and we can have some interviews. But nonetheless, I wanted to talk to you, Sam. It's the end of the race. Let's talk us through what you thought of that amazing F4 race here at Austria.
Yeah, it was one incredible race, and obviously the safety car kind of ruined it a little bit towards the end, because we would have had a very interesting showdown, I would have reckoned, between the hard tyre drivers at the end there and, of course, the soft tyre or medium tyre drivers in that case. So unfortunately, we were stopped from that. But in the end, there, of course, desperately for Thurhan Racer, brilliant from him, really, in the end, to get the move done. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of talking points, and I believe now that means that Brett is now the championship leader of after that race. I'm pretty sure of it. He scored 10 points in the end. I don't think anyone ahead of him scored points. Did Bugatti score points?
Bugatti did score 1 point. He did finish in the top 10.
Okay, then it will be FRL Brett then leading the way and in the championship. I didn't need to press that button.
But nonetheless, we have a leader of the championship, but we have a leader and eventual winner of today's race. Vapornuth, you've won the Austrian Grand Prix. Talk us through that one. That was a crazy race, a lot of action, a lot of accidents, a lot of overtaking, some weather change conditions. It had it all, but you ultimately came out on top.
It was absolutely crazy from start to finish. Strategy basically changed all the time. I had pretty good luck with the safety car, with the first one, because it worked perfectly with the soft strategy. I did that in another race a day before, so I knew that it works pretty well. And then with the second safety car, I got a bit scared because all the other guys are on softs now too, so it's all open games now. But me and Yannick, we were in a party and we both had no penalties, and pretty much everyone else behind us had. So we said to ourselves, okay, we just need to manage it and then maybe fight it out in the last few laps. We managed it, and it worked absolutely well. I mean, what else can you say? P5 to P1, my first win in PSGL, I couldn't be any happier.
Sam, any questions for our race winner today?
Well, congratulations, of course, on the victory, but I do not have any questions, really. Great race, and congrats, obviously, on P1.
Thanks.
Very nice performance indeed. I don't think we have anybody else in the party at the moment. Can you confirm?
Nope, there's no one else in the party, but I have added people to it, but no one else is wanting to join.
So, nonetheless, I think we will be ending the stream here today. Of course, Vapornuth, congratulations again on your first win here, and it's in Formula 4, an amazing drive from you. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You've been watching live coverage of round number 3 of the Formula 4 World Championship in PSGL's PlayStation division. It has been an amazing race, and it's been a pleasure, myself, Noah Clark, alongside Sam Thompson in the commentary booth, to be able to commentate this race for you. But nonetheless, thank you so much, and have yourselves a wonderful night.